Welcome back to Brashonomics. Mark Hobbs joins us with RainCityHomes.com. He's been an assistant manager and managing broker of East Lake Windermere for almost 16 years with his wife and business partner, Kimberly. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Are you going to watch Super Bowl? You a big football fan?
I am. Unfortunately, the Hawks didn't make it, but still going to be watching.
It's way beyond unfortunate. It is detrimental to my emotions.
We were on the radio, so I couldn't use my normal adjectives.
Yeah. Get that dump button ready. Mark, I was talking about competition, and the Super Bowl is a place where you certainly see competition. Pete Carroll preaches it, especially around Seattle and with the Seahawks. But a lot of people who are out looking to purchase homes right now maybe also find themselves in a lot of competition. And it's not something that is maybe has the same rules as a football game where you're just competing with another team. You might be competing with 20 other home buyers, 50 other home buyers, and you may not even know who they are. How are buyers handling that? How are they handling maybe the frustration?
Well, the competition comes from the current lack of inventory. And so there's not nearly as many homes for them to take a look at, and they need to, oftentimes when they do find a home that they like, it's not beyond reason that somebody else likes it just as much, and they've got to make quick decisions, which puts them in multiple offer situations, and they oftentimes have to step out of their comfort zone. They have to maybe pay more than what they were anticipating, move much quicker than what they ever imagined.
And so this competition really allows people to, really, like you said, either maybe pay a little bit more, be a little bit more active, or kind of step back a little bit. And they have to maybe realize that it's that lack of inventory that's creating this maybe a pretty emotional situation for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, sometimes some buyers need to get their hearts broken by losing a couple of multiple offer situations before they understand what it's really going to take to prevail.
I'm hoping that's also a Seahawk reference, like we had to get our hearts broken to figure out what it's going to feel like to prevail. I don't know if it was, but
that was heartbroken, heart trampled.
That was heart-winning. That was up and down. But that, you can almost take that as it's similar to buying a house. I mean, that up and down of, oh my goodness, we found the house, it's perfect. Oh no, we didn't get it. And then going back out, I mean, it's a huge emotional swing, similar to the Seahawks game.
Absolutely. There's always the one that got away, whether that be in sports or in real estate.
So when you have a lot of people out there and there's not a lot of homes to choose from, you really don't know how many other buyers you're competing against, do you?
Well, if you're maintaining open dialogue with the seller's agent, known as the listing agent, if you're speaking to them and communicating and asking them the right questions, then you're able to get oftentimes the number of other offers, sometimes a few more details than that, and what the seller's looking for. So we try and work very collaboratively, although we're representing our client.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, but you don't know who they are. I mean, you're pretty blind, right?
Right.
It's one thing to go up against, Joe Schmo. It's a whole other thing if, Bill Gates is out looking for a house. So it's tough to kind of gauge what you need to do to win sometimes.
Correct.
What are some ways that people can win that game and compete in maybe these multiple offer situations?
Well, we always coach our clients that if you're in a multiple offer situation, you're going to potentially have to waive some contingencies, but that does not mean not performing them. A lot of people talk about how their clients waive inspections, and we will have our clients waive inspections as well, but that's only after performing a pre-inspection so that they know truly what they're getting themselves into. Financing contingencies, escalation clauses, a wide variety of things that puts the buyer more all in, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And so really, as that buyer goes more and more all in, I guess the hard part is you're still only putting your best foot forward. There's no guarantee you come out with that house.
Correct.
And how do people deal with that?
It's tough. We try to keep everyone as much on an even keel as we can, but it's hard. Buying a home, any home, whether it's your first home or your fourth home, is an emotional process. It's going to be where you're spending the vast majority of your time for a certain number of years. And we try and keep them on even keel so that they understand what the possibilities are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then we wait for the news.
Do you ever use a Russell Wilson example for even keel? I'm sorry.
Not-
It's Super Bowl coming up.
No, I'm loving it. I have not, but that's a good idea.
You know, just rock solid dude. Mark, so I guess, when people do lose an offer, does it change? You say you try to keep them on even keel, but it still must change their mentality a little bit.
It does. There's different personality types, and some personality types are much more competitive and they want to win, and so they will step up. Other personality types may shy away from competition and may choose to take a short hiatus. They may need more information so that we can better assist them in the future and hopefully have success the next time. But yeah, it's never easy when you lose.
It never is. Is there certain information that people then are after? I mean, if you lose a property and you're trying to go, okay, for the next one, the next house we're going to get, what maybe peripheral information do people start to go after that they maybe didn't try to get the first time?
I think it's not so much information. I think it's strategies as far as what it's going to take. Sometimes some buyers, they've heard for a while that prior to about 9 months ago, they were reading that it's a buyer's market. Well, some buyers haven't read anything about the seller's market that's been occurring since then.
They don't listen to our show, obviously.
They don't listen to your show at 11:50 a.m. But they need to prepare themselves and strategize so that next time they know maybe to listen to their real estate broker as far as what it's going to take. Sometimes I think that they don't feel like they need to go as high, or they don't need to waive as many contingencies, even if they've performed them. So
there's a little bit of wishful thinking out there too, though. I mean, if you're willing to waive some contingencies, if you maybe haven't done like a pre-inspection, people get a little bit wishful, don't they?
Yeah, I think that they are hoping that they win, and every so often it's kind of interesting because if a person just has a tremendously high offer and they waive their inspection contingency, never having performed one, on the evening or the day that they win, they're saying, yay, we won. And then the following day they wake up after sleeping on it, and they're like, oh, we won. Because if they waive some contingencies without the information, then they're at risk. They've got the house, but they're at risk. They don't know exactly what they're getting themselves into.
So with all these buyers competing for homes, you have obviously sellers who are sitting on a fence because the homes aren't out there. And I mean, there are some people who must be close to selling their house, thinking about selling their house, have something else to do than live in their house. With people who are selling or on the fence, do you feel like they are in the process of coming off the fence to alleviate some of the competition for buyers?
So there's two segments of sellers. The segment of sellers, they're looking to sell their home, but they're going to be renting or buying in another part of the country. They've got no hesitation in putting their homes on the market right now because there's such a lack of inventory. They're getting multiple offers and happy sellers to get to move on to other markets. The sellers, though, that are planning on purchasing in the same market in the greater Seattle area, they are the ones that are on the fence because they've got no guarantee of their landing spot.
Right. And that's stressful.
Absolutely. They have to figure out a strategy. Very few sellers will accept a contingent offer in the current marketplace. The only way that they'll do that is if the buyer's at or near or above their list price, and then the seller who was on the fence, if they chose to buy contingent, then they're going to have less flexibility in their purchase, and then on their sale, in order to consummate their purchase, they're going to have to be far more flexible with the buyer to make their dream come true. So I call it buying backwards, and they kind of get screwed on both ends.
Yeah, and coming from the mortgage side, we still get calls about, well, what type of bridge financing is offered, and most people don't actually qualify to hold two homes. It's kind of a way of doing things in the past. What strategies do you offer for people who are going to maybe have to go through this? Well, I'd like to sell, but I don't know where I'm going to go.
We go through and talk about if you sell, do you have a place to live, not necessarily a place to buy yet, but do you have a backup plan, a plan B, whether that be couch surfing with some friends, staying with family, a rental situation? Because always that first domino that needs to fall is the fact that they need to sell their home and get that money.
Mm-hmm. And then once that domino falls, it needs to at least have another domino to hit.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's a one domino show, isn't it?
Exactly. But sometimes, and this hasn't happened for us, fortunately. I'm not looking for some wood right now, but all of our sellers who have chosen to sell their homes without knowing exactly where they were going to land, we were able to work out arrangements where they might be able to get a rent back after the sale of their home, so that gave them more time to look for a home and hopefully get things closed pretty close to one another.
Mark Hobbs joins us, assistant manager and managing broker of the East Lake Windermere. Mark, so we have just a couple minutes left, but as you help people go into these situations, a lot of it is about preparing, isn't it? I mean, it's being prepared to, if I sell my house, I can go to my folks, or if I sell my house, I can go to this hotel, or I can do the seller rent back, or I'm comfortable in my lease for the next 9 months. I mean, there's so much preparation that goes into this, because it doesn't feel like in this market, although it's extremely competitive, there's a lot of different things that can happen throughout the process.
Absolutely. And my wife likes to joke around that I'm not only a dark path guy, my cup is not only half empty, but there's a little pinhole in the bottom of it. I'm a worst case scenario guy. I tell our clients what their options are, what the worst case scenario is, up to the best case scenario, and ultimately it's always their decision. It's a matter of education and them trusting us enough to recognize that we're giving them the information that they're going to need so that they can ultimately make the decision. They're the decision maker.
Well, as we talked about, that decision making is really going to come a lot from their personality, how aggressive they want to get, how comfortable they are with a tumultuous lifestyle of potentially living with your folks or living in a hotel for a little while. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. We will be right back after these messages and discuss a little bit more about what lies beneath some of the competition, not in the real estate market, but in the workplace. We'll be right back.